Good evening, everybody. As you know, my name is Nancy. I found out about the law when I was like 5 years old. I found out because my grandfather was a lawyer. He was a criminal lawyer in Far Rockaway, New York, which is Queens. And the stories that I heard about him were quite interesting. He was a very giving person, and when his clients couldn't pay, rather than sue them or make them, pay somehow, he would invite him or her to his home and have them do work in the house, be a maid or a cook or a gardener, and that's how they would pay off their debt. When I think about it now, I don't think that was very cool. But I guess back then it worked for the indigent and they didn't have to worry. And my grandfather just said, come and do a couple of hours and you're free to go. So from that point, I started reading quite a bit about the law. Only to this day, I only read true crime. I always loved the law. I always loved reading. And that's where I learned about the law, basically, in all my true crime stories that I read. And Rule, I did read John Grisham. He's not a true crime story writer, but he was as close to it as you could get. Then, of course, I went to school, I became a court reporter, and it was a love of, again, the law. I never wanted to be a lawyer, but knowing that I was in the mix, as we say, I was right in the middle of all the stuff I had read about, meeting some of the attorneys I had actually read about, and being in depositions. I did work in grand jury for a few years as a per diem, and that was the best because you're really in the mix of it. I remember one of my cases was a big mafia case, and I was just in awe. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I love this. Come on, let's go, And then I still remained as a freelancer. Then I finally got into the court system and I was just over the moon because now I am really, really going to be where I want to be in the courtroom and big trials and blah, blah, blah. And guess what? It's pretty boring. It's not what I thought it was cracked up to be, but I still love it. I go into the courtroom every day and we do calendar and maybe we do a hearing. I do trials, but they're not the big exciting things that I read about. And it always just irked me, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm still in the courtroom. I'm still doing something I love incredibly. And I'm also a watcher. I watch people. I like to sit back, take things in, and just watch. And that's how I learn a lot. So I watch lawyers and how they do things. And when I did trials, I would always try to guess what the jury would do just by watching the lawyers and how they acted in the courtroom. And I was always wrong. So it's a good thing they never had me on the jury. But anyway, I did learn some lessons from lawyers and watching them and how they interact with each other, just how people in general interact with each other. But when you're in a courtroom, it's a battle. They battle each other to win. They battle each other over the law. This one knows better. This one knows more than you. I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. I'm the DA. I'm the defense attorney. And I've seen good ones and really bad ones. From the good ones, I wrote down things that I always admired about them. They are confident and sometimes arrogant, not always, but I see they exude the confidence because they have to. Otherwise, they couldn't win the case or come off in the courtroom as somebody who knows what they're doing, and you want to be confident and you don't want to come off arrogant. I see that they trust their instincts. They know what questions to ask. They know what not to ask. They, especially during jury selection, it's a very interesting process. And they ask lots of questions. That's another thing I've learned as a court reporter. We need to ask questions. We need to know things. We need to know the caption, the players in the case, names of witnesses, names of police officers. So we do ask a lot of questions, and obviously they ask a lot of questions. That's their job. I also learned that some lawyers are very compassionate. They truly, truly believe in their client, no matter what they did. And I find that we also, as court reporters, are very compassionate people. We are always looking out for each other. If somebody needs us, even if we don't know them, and we see a post on Facebook that someone needs help, we're always there. And I don't know if lawyers do that for each other, but I do see the compassion that they have for their clients, and I enjoy the compassion that I've learned from that. Another thing I've learned is that it doesn't matter how much you work. The success you gain means nothing if you don't have a life and you don't give to your family and your friends. You can work and be successful, and as the saying goes, you're not going to ask for money on your deathbed. You're going to want your friends and your family around. I learned that not everyone wants you to succeed. Obviously, in the courtroom, your opponent doesn't want you to win. But I also noticed that just like in any other field, there are people who stand behind you, pat you on the back, but in the meanwhile, they're really stabbing you in the back because they're jealous. They don't want to put in the work that you put in, things like that. I also learned to give back. I see the legal aid attorneys are very, very giving to not only their clients, but to their field. They have compassion. They are always helping people for free. Not that we do that, but I just see that we love to give back. They love to give back. And this may not all be about the law, what I'm saying, but it's what I've learned from watching the law and how it works, and the people who mete out the law, the lawyers, the attorneys, the judges, the DAs, and the court officers. They're a part of the group that we work with. They're not always so nice, but we're not talking about them. I also learned that you can find great friendships, and it could be built upon a mutual love, things that we love court reporting, and we find our friends through court reporting. They find their friends through the law. They love court reporters for the most part, and it's good to have that nice relationship with them. I find it's better in the courts than it was when I freelanced. And if somebody's putting up the signs, I can't see the green. If somebody's doing that, I'm not seeing it, and I feel like I'm rambling. But I will end with saying that the one thing I did learn from the law is, and what we do is, there's more to life than just working. We give back, we have friends, we have family. And to me, my life is first. I will always give to my profession. I will always give to my family, my friends, but life is just much more important than working. So please always, be good in life, do what you want, and put the time aside for your life. Work and life have different areas and different compartments, but make sure you put 90% of your compartmentalized things into your life. Thank you very much.